Hi guys, and welcome back to another fully operational cast, bringing you more action from the Gamers Nexus Regional here in the UK in early June 2015. On the left, playing as Darkside with what looks like a Sith deck, is Chris Higgins once again. He was in the round 1 videos, he's back again in round 2, having, I believe, swept both his games. And on the right, playing as the light side with what looks to be a Jedi deck, is Tim Hobart. So Chris revealing his objectives. He's got Shadows on the Ice, the neutral there, the Killing Cold for sacrifice mechanics, and the Executor arrives. So looks to be the classic Sith Hoth sacrifice, Executor, damage all over the place kind of deck. A lot of tricks and a lot of objective healing in that deck. So Tim is going to have to pump out some damage to break through that. And Tim himself flips over to Journey Through the Swamps and a May the Force be with you. So Journey Through the Swamp, allowing Tim to get 2 creature cards out of his deck and onto the board straight away. Looks like he's gone for the knobby white spider and a Jubberbird. Two great cards to start his deck off. The spider obviously pretty good at laying tactics down and locking the dark side out, and the Jubberbird's just really annoying to deal with. It can sacrifice itself to remove icons from characters. I think it's characters and creatures. So turn 1. Chris has you can see a couple of nice Hoth events there in his deck. So Succumb to the Cold, I think, is a 0 cost event that puts the focus back on a unit and locks it down. No resources for Chris. He just seems to be starting off with an ISB Liaison and the Protector unit, the Shadow Guards from Mara Jade's pod. Again, sorry about the glare. Chris commits both to the Force, so he'll have a couple of pips there, defending the Force struggle. And passes the turn to Tim. Just worth noting, Chris has got a couple of resources open now, so he could play some events, and I wonder if Tim will pick up on that. A resource out for Tim, and a Wolfman in the discard pile. No doubt he'll come back later. And a You Seek Yoda for 2 resources, so Tim's going to get to dig through his deck now, find the version of Yoda that he wants, which is probably going to be Between the Shadows Yoda with a boatload of tactics. Yep, there he is. In a mono Jedi deck, that Yoda can be a bit ridiculous to deal with. He's basically Palpatine at that point. He gets an edge-enabled tactics icon for every Jedi objective you control. So obviously that's 3 for Tim. So Chris has got some work cut out for him. And a Twi'lek Loyalist. So there's another tactics. And there's one on the spider as well. So I think Chris is about to have his board locked down. Pays 1 for the spider to become a unit for the phase. And he'll probably swing with the spider. Yep, so spider swings in first. It's got 5 health now, 2 unit damage and a black tactics. It really doesn't care about winning the edge battle. There's no tactics on Chris's side of the board, so I imagine Tim will just pass here if there's an engagement and let the dark side lock itself out. So it looks like an unopposed, which is smart from Chris. You don't want to really, like I say, that the spider doesn't care about winning the edge. So any blockers there would have just double tapped themselves out, being committed, and then the spider would tap them out a 3rd time. So just an unopposed on Shadows on the Ice. Gets rid of 1 defender, and Yoda comes in to finish the job. Now Yoda does care about winning the edge battle. If he doesn't, he won't get his 3 tactics. So Chris I think, correctly chooses to block with the ISB there. Now the ISB can be protected by the Shadow Guard as he is committed to the Force. Or Chris could choose to sacrifice him and draw a card if he's going to die. So there's a few options for Chris here. He's also got a Twist of Fate in hand, so he can try and empty Tim's hand a little bit if he wants to. Probably pitch that aggression. Yeah, good call, Chris. There's plenty of weak characters there that Tim is happy to sacrifice, so you're not going to get the high value units like Yoda and Luke from that aggression. He'll just sacrifice a Jubba Bird or a Twi'lek. So aggression versus Obi-Wan. The light side win that fight. And before Yoda strikes, Chris sacrifices the ISB, takes a look at the next objective for Tim, and draws another ISB. You might as well do those sacrifice actions if the unit's going to die anyway. If you're not going to protect it, you may as well get the value out of it. But there we see Yoda wins the edge battle, puts 3 focus on that Shadow Guard and a couple of damage on the objective. So that Shadow Guard's not coming back anytime soon. Probably see another unopposed on Executor with the Twi'lek, will we? Or the Jubba Bird? Might as well send the Jubba Bird, it's not doing anything else. And then probably commit Yoda to refresh him, would be my play. Yeah, so there goes the Jubba Bird. Might as well, again, get value out of a unit. There's no blockers in the way. It can do an unopposed just as well as Vader or Luke could do an unopposed, so why not? And great stuff from there from Tim. Refreshes with Yoda. May the Force be with you. And Chris responds with Succumb to the Cold, one of those zero-cost events from Shadows on the Eye. Such a great answer to the obnoxious Jedi refresh shenanigans we're seeing at the moment. Just means you have to put a focus back on Yoda. So he is not winning the Force. He'll have to commit someone else. And there we go. Commits the Twi'lek, wins the balance. The Dow goes up to 3. A Rage in hand there for Chris, which is not going to do much. He needs the balance of the Force to be able to play Rage, which is an event that allows you to remove 2 focus from a unit committed to the Force. So can't play that. It's a dead card. It's an edge card right now. The Executor he also doesn't have the resources for, so probably the Royal Guard and another ISB, I would imagine. Chris just taking a look at Desolation of Hoth there. Oh, he's playing it. So that is an event card that lets you remove damage from a Hoth objective and place it on another objective or on a unit. So it looks like Chris is going to take 2 damage off of the Killing Cold and freeze Yoda a little bit. So that's what we're saying about this Sith Hoth deck. It just, you think you're almost there, you've got your objectives almost destroyed, and suddenly they're right back, brand new, and Yoda's in some pain. Emperor's Royal Guard are played and commit to the Force. So painful one here again. This could be a brutal turn for Chris. Again, there's nothing stopping the Spider swinging first or the Twi'lek. just coming in to lead the engagements. The Royal Guard can either block, or if they let it through, there'll be tactics down and everyone else can come in unopposed. That's the danger of having just one blocker out against so many different units with tactics. And there's oh my god, there's 3 black objective damage, and this might be a painful turn for Chris. Tim activates the spider as a unit, and I think here we'll see, I can't quite see what other options Tim has in his hand, but the spider should go in on his own. Yep. And there's no great decisions here for Chris. You either block and you're exhausted, or you let the spider through and you're exhausted. And it's got 5 health, so you're not going to kill it. It does have a rage, but it doesn't have any resources to be able to play it, so that's not going to free up any defenders either. So Tim, again, does Tim really care about the edge battle here? Probably not. He might be worried about Seeds of Decay, which could put a focus on Yoda. So they both pass. Oh, Seeds on the Royal Guard for Tim there. Puts a focus, stops it striking, and then the spider will put a second one on. Not a bad play. I'd probably have preferred to just pass and let Chris win the edge. The Royal Guard will double tap out when he strikes, and then you can put a third one down wherever you choose. And the only trade there is the spiders takes a couple of damage, which isn't the end of the world. But either way, Chris's board is locked out, and we've got Yoda, a Twi'lek, and Red 5 here. I'm going to come in and do a boatload of damage. I'd be half tempted to send Red 5 and Yoda at the Killing Cold just to one-shot it. Having that objective out on the board means that your Hoth objectives can heal up pretty quickly. So that's a priority target for me. Executor's doing nothing, and Shadows on the Ice is just resources. So Killing Cold's the target if I'm Tim, and you can't, as we saw before, you can't leave it alive with a few health left. It will just refresh. But that looks like what Tim's doing. 4 with an unopposed. Oh no, he's attacking Executor, so 4 with unopposed will destroy that objective. Oh, that's a good card. Tim has Size Matters Not, which can move a focus to a cheaper unit that you control, so he can refresh Red 5 and swing again. Oh my god. So Red 5 swings again, alone at Killing Cold. Again, I can't help but think I'd rather see that objective gone and swing with Yoda as well. But 4 damage. Let's hope. Let's just hope Chris doesn't draw into another Desolation of Hoth. Wins the Force and bounces the Wolfman into play from his discard. Great turn there from Tim. Chris's new objective is a Fall of the Jedi. Allows him to put cards back in his deck to try and cycle through his hand a little bit quicker. Pulls out a library A Wampa, which is that's going to be a free unit. It gets 2 cheaper for every Hoth objective you have in play. He's got 2. So that Wampa is a free unit. But he still doesn't have enough resources to play either of those executors in his hand. And that's just clogging up Chris's momentum here a little bit. The Wampa comes out for free. Well, that's free, Chris. You don't have to pay for it. There we go. And an ISB. So a few bodies to throw in the way of this Jedi onslaught. Passes the turn, and Tim does a damage to Shadows on the Ice. Again, I personally hate killing cold, so I'd pretty happily see that balanced damage take that option away from Chris. Because that objective can be annoying. There's nothing stopping Chris from sacrificing those units that are locked out with tons of focus just to heal his objectives up when Tim doesn't want that to happen. Nudge comes out. Bounces that dial back down. And plenty of resources. I can see Luke in Tim's hand. Surely that seals the game. If Tim can get Luke on the board and keep him there. I think Tim trying to decide whether to keep all these cards in his hand and use them in the edge battle, just so that he can be sure Yoda can lock all the defenders down with tactics, or does he play people like Luke onto the board? And that's one of the great kind of conflicts that you have to have as a player of Star Wars. Where do you want those cards? On the board, in your hand, or where? Looks like he decides to play Luke, which is never a bad thing, and turns the spider into a unit. And here we come again. This is great play from Tim, just leading the engagements with those units that you don't really care about that have tactics. Either Chris blocks units that he doesn't really care about and taps his board out, or Chris gets tactics down. It's brutal. Because you know Red 5, Luke and Yoda are going to swinging after this. And those are the units you want to be blocking. Not Twi'leks and not spiders. But Tim's forcing the hand. Again, Tim. Do you need to win this edge battle? So it looks like 3 pips to 3 pips. And a heater battle tries to kill the ISB, but takes it on a protector. Tim thinking about sacrificing the Jubba Bird. ISB goes and kills the Twi'lek. Spider does 2 damage to the Wampa. I think Tim was considering the ISB, but a couple of protectors there. Chris putting the tactics on the Royal Guard from the Spider. So Chris has no blockers. And this is where those Jedi main characters can do some damage. Looks like Yoda and the Wolfman coming in at killing cold. Don't think there's much Chris can do here. Can't see any answers in his hand. No event cards. Sacks, and here we go. Here's what we're saying about the killing cold being a little bit obnoxious. Sacrifice the guard, remove a damage. Sacrifice another unit that you don't care about, remove a damage. And again, so that objective's down to just 1 damage. The Wolfman and Yoda are not going to take it out with 3 damage, including the unopposed. So, and that's, I think that's the key with killing cold. You've got to nuke it in one go. You cannot leave it damaged, because even in between strikes, your opponent can just heal it up. Oh, Red 5 swinging for Shadows on the Ice. Chris thought about sacrificing the ISB, but realising at the last minute it wouldn't have made a difference. So that's 2 objectives down for the light side, and the killing cold is the only reason Chris is still in this game. So Agents of the Emperor, Mara's objective is the new one on the flop, allows Chris to commit a Sith unit to the Force to focus out an opposing unit, I believe. What options does Chris have here? Again, he's still got an Executor in his hand. He's not going to be able to play that without Holocron, I don't think. He's got a Sith Library, but that's the game is drawing to a close, so that's not doing him any good. Sacrifices the ISB to draw a card, trying to dig for something. I think that's a lightsaber. Plays an aggression, not a bad call. He's got no units on his side, so it doesn't sacrifice anything. Tim sacrifices a nudge. Dial ticks up by 1. And that's what we said earlier as well. Once, if Yoda and Luke are the only units on the board, then aggression is a great event. It's cheap, and it forces a unit to get rid of a unit. So if they only have powerful cards on the table, that's painful. But Tim has plenty of low cost weenie creatures that can just get in the way of that. Chris playing out a Dark Side Apprentice there with a lightsaber. And commits the apprentice to the Force. Ah, of course, and activating Mara's objective there to put a focus token on Red 5. But he is elite, I think, so I could be wrong. I thought Red 5 was elite. Not sure it'll matter. Tim has got plenty of objective damage on his board with Yoda and Luke, and the Wolfman. Chris has no resources open, so there shouldn't be too many shenanigans here. This should be game, I think. Swing with the Spider. Put a Tactics on the only defender. And then send everyone with objective damage in on the Killing Cold. That would be my plan. Chris knows, I think, he has to block the spider. If you let it through unopposed, you're going to be exhausted anyway. So spider versus the apprentice. Seven versus twist again. Tim, do you need to win that edge battle? The spider's got black icons. And all you need to do is, it's done its job. The apprentice has blocked. I don't think you need to be pitching cards to the edge here. So Chris wins, which is probably actually better for Tim, because the apprentice will double focus out now. Oh, especially with the lightsaber deflection. And then the spider will kill it. And then everyone else will swing for killing cold, and there's no units that Chris can sacrifice to heal it up. So good game, great game there. And you can see the problem there that Sith have. If you don't have the answers to those Jedi mains, it can be a pain. Killing cold was an answer. It just didn't get rolling there, unfortunately for Chris. But you can see the potential to heal that objective up and keep yourself in that game. So Tim takes game number 1. The players will switch sides. Tim will play dark side events, Chris's light side deck. So join us again for game 2 and see how this round ends up. Cheers.